Welcome to a new MotoVlog, today with the Moto Guzzi V100 S. And with that, a very warm welcome to 1000 PS TV and to the Moto Guzzi V100 Mandello S. This is not a brand new bike for 2026, it received its latest update in 2025. But right now, we have it here at the 1000 PS office and I thought to myself, I will take it out for a ride and bring you along for my first few kilometers on the Mandello, so I can tell you my first impressions straight from the saddle. And I have deliberately positioned it like this. Not beautifully facing the road, but with the visual focus, at least for me, right here. This single-sided swing arm. Just look at that. I honestly cannot get enough of it. This motorcycle is so beautifully made. Also in this two-tone color scheme with the copper or copper gold colored elements on the wheels and on the engine covers. It is an absolute visual dream, this V100 Mandello S, at least from this perspective, because for 2025 it did receive an update and this S version also received this big lump here. Yes, that does bring advantages in terms of equipment, because now we have radar supported systems on board. The S model is also prepared for radar supported cruise control. But that also means that here on this beautiful front end of the Mandello, yes, this radar unit has now been bolted on. At the rear, I do not think it looks quite so negative. There it has been integrated relatively elegantly into the number plate holder. But yes, you cannot really talk it away. At the front, I think it does disturb the look a little. Otherwise, the V100 Mandello, yes, I would say it sees itself somewhere between a naked bike and a sport touring bike. Because we do have a fairing up here at the front, but still not really the wind protection of a proper sport touring bike, and certainly not of a full touring bike. And for a naked bike, it is then again a bit heavier. It put 243 kilograms on the 1000 PS kettle scales, so that means there is already a decent amount of weight involved here as well. But the equipment is not bad at all, and you can already see that the moment you sit on it. And I would say that is exactly where we will now begin with our test ride. So when I switch it on, you can see it straight away in the mirrors. Everything starts lighting up. Yes, blind spot warning here on the motorcycle, and of course there are also several other features and equipment details here on the Mandello S. But I would say let us simply set off now and we will start in tour riding mode. Because from the rider's perspective, I want to show you after that colleague has just ridden past on his, what is that actually? KTM. Grüß dich Gott. I want to show you the main party piece of this Mandello S, and that is the flaps. Because the Mandello has, I believe, the only active aerodynamic system on the motorcycle market. And for that, you need to look down here. As soon as I accelerate up to 70 kilometers per hour, there they are. Bang! Out they come. The flaps of the Mandello. Yes, the advantage is that the wind is guided around my legs more effectively. That means I get better wind protection and yes, as a result, more comfort when touring. Because, as I already said, I think the Mandello sees itself as a crossover between a sport touring bike and a naked bike. Because yes, a bit of fairing has been created for the rider, so you can enjoy some wind protection. But it really is not on the level of a full-blooded touring bike. Speaking of comfort, of course, classic Moto Guzzi, a longitudinally mounted V-twin. In other words, the cylinder heads of the V-twin stick out to the sides. On the one hand, it looks mighty. On the other hand, it also has advantages and disadvantages. One point is, of course, that the overall width of the vehicle becomes greater, so the bike is built wider. And it also has an advantage when it is cool, because I can already feel heat developing around my legs. Today it is not that warm, so actually I find it quite pleasant. But of course, in midsummer, when it gets properly hot, you will definitely feel the heat from the engine. Otherwise, the engine, just over 1000 cubic centimeters, around 1040 cubic centimeters, 115 horsepower, 105 Newton meters of torque. And as already mentioned, that is with a wet weight of 243 kilograms as measured by us. Also on board as standard is a quickshifter. It works well, especially when the revs get higher. In the lower rev range it can sometimes work a little roughly, but I always say a quickshifter that is on board is better than no quickshifter at all. Even if down here it can sometimes be a little jerky, I think that is absolutely okay. I can forgive it here, especially when the flaps then come out to greet me. A real highlight on this motorcycle. Right, these are roadworks now, and I actually wanted to turn around quickly here, but I think I can still do that without worrying too much. A small negative point on the Mandello has already caught my attention while standing still. The steering lock is not especially generous, and I think the gentleman here is still waiting in the van, so I will ride forward in a moment. There we are, hello, and now let us see whether we can approach the Mandello in a slightly sportier way. For that, we lower the windscreen, we switch into sport mode, the flaps retract and the electronic Öhlins suspension sets itself up more actively. We have an Öhlins suspension on board here, electronically controlled, and of course it does not only adapt live to the conditions, but also to the selected riding mode. And I can already feel it when accelerating and when braking. The Mandello stays firm, much more stable than before. Yes, previously it had swayed a little, rocked a little. In tour mode it really wanted to offer me great comfort when touring. But now, just that bump there, I felt it straight in my back. In sport mode, the Mandello clearly changes character. The engine sounds mighty, that is one thing I notice. It runs pleasantly smoothly. Yes, I have exactly those good vibrations that I want from a V-twin engine like this, but none that are genuinely unpleasant. So on a long ride, this will not become uncomfortable in terms of vibrations. I have exactly what I want to have. And otherwise, in terms of punch, I think the engine is, yes, okay. It is not an absolute grenade. It does not slam me into the back of the seat. I do not have to cling on for dear life. No, the engine simply marches forward in a solid and genuinely nicely sporty way. That is enjoyable, that is fun, and above all, it is enough for everyday riding and above all for touring. In any case, I do not see the Mandello as the most extreme corner carving weapon. We will make a short stop. I have an animal in my helmet. Right, after insect-related incidents, we are back in the saddle of the Mandello. What I actually wanted to say just now is that I do not see the Mandello as the most extreme corner carving weapon anyway. For me, this is more of a relaxed weekend motorcycle, a bike for those moments when you do not only need the sportiest naked bike in life, but instead want something with character, something with style. The Mandello is an absolute emotions motorcycle. Yes, it may not go around corners quite as sportily as, let us say, an Aprilia, but it has an honest sound, a beautiful, great, old-school V-twin sound. We have good equipment, including radar-supported technology. That means I can genuinely go touring with it if I want to, but it is simply all on board. Everything I need is there if I know what I want. And what I want here is exactly this cool, relaxed crossover, somewhere from naked bike towards sport touring bike. The Mandello offers me all of that in a genuinely very complete package. If I choose this S variant with the radar systems and, perhaps even more importantly, with the electronic suspension that is also on board here, right? And because the colleague in front of me did not keep going, we did not make it through the traffic light. That is a long traffic light phase. We will see each other again in just a moment for the conclusion of this MotoVlog. And there we are, already at the end of this MotoVlog, here in the beautiful surroundings of Wiener Neustadt. I also wanted to show it once again from the front. Here is the Mandello with the longitudinally mounted V-twin. Longitudinally mounted because the crankshaft runs directly towards the rear. Because the crankshaft, yes, goes backwards and not crosswise across the bike. Yes, that was the MotoVlog on the V100 Mandello. A truly absolute pleasure bike. It brought me a lot of joy to be able to ride it here. Of course, if you have experience with this motorcycle, if you have already ridden it, please write it in the comments. And of course, do not forget to subscribe to the channel so you do not miss any more MotoVlogs. And naturally, all the other videos here on 1000 PS TV as well. That was the Moto Guzzi V100 S Mandello. We will see each other in the next video. Thank you for watching. See you, bye.